Hi everyone, this is Professor Hall, and today we are going to look at simple sentences. If you haven't heard that term before, and if some of the other terms like independent clause are kind of confusing, that's all right. That's what we're going to discuss. So, this is our first in a series of lectures about sentence types. Let's get started. What we've learned, where we are, and where we're going. I like to talk about, I love this diagram, or this illustration rather. I love to talk about this at the beginning of every lecture about sentence types, about grammatical errors, transitions, and a few other things. All of these skills build on each other. So we're going to talk about what we learned last time, what we're going to learn this time, and then how it connects to what we're going to learn next. Moving up these steps and hopefully gaining confidence from I won't to I can, I will, and I did. What step are you on today? So this is actually our first lesson, but hopefully this lesson will build upon what you've learned in your previous English classes. If you find that it does not, and you're in my class and you need a little bit more help, I can direct you to some resources. If you're not in my class, I would look up things like very basic parts of speech, or what a subject is if that's confusing. But I think I've broken it down pretty clearly, so hopefully it'll take what you've learned before and build upon it. And if all of this is review, that's okay. You can watch. It's a quick video, and it will lead into some other skills that will hopefully be new things, and you can learn those other skills. So today, as I said, we're going to look at what makes up a sentence as well as simple sentences. And next, we're going to look at other sentence types or structures. Once we're finished talking about sentence structures, we're going to connect all those ideas to discuss sentence variety. Our plan for sentence structures. I don't have this every single time, but I wanted to go over it with you guys today. I love the little raccoon there. First, you're going to learn what makes a sentence and different types of sentences. Comprehension. Comprehension is a little bit deeper than learning. So when you learn something, you oftentimes hear it for the first time. Comprehension means that you understand it. So we're going to look at sentence variety. And when we do that, first we will look at short pairs or sentences by themselves or in little short paragraphs. Then later we're going to look at authentic materials. So that means that not just stuff in a classroom or examples I've come up with, but what does this actually look like in real life? Because this has to be relevant for you guys. I'm not teaching grammar just because I love grammar. It's actually probably my least favorite part of our class. But it is important, not just for your other college classes, but for communication and later in life, things that you might need to write or presentations you might need to give. Then you'll do practice on your own. You'll write and get feedback from me, and then you will revise your own work. So you can kind of see the actual what's called explicit teaching is kind of 1, 2, and 3, me explaining things and looking at things. The practice and writing and revising, those are all on your end. And if this were an in-person class or if this is a hybrid class, we'll have a little bit more time for discussion. But even in the online class, we'll have some discussion boards that we can talk about things, what you've learned, what you're still confused about, and give you guys the chance to ask questions that way. So that way you are getting guidance from me, but you're also getting a lot of practice. And if you watch the thing about how I teach grammar and why I teach it the way I do, you'll know that both of those things are really important. Practice without guidance, you wouldn't do it right. And guidance without practice would be boring and not practical. All right. So anyway, what makes a sentence? Every sentence has a subject and a verb. So here is a very short sentence. A lot of times people think that this is an incomplete sentence, but it's really not. He eats. He is our subject and eats is our verb. So he, this pronoun here, is doing the action of eating. Or try this sentence. Esther swims. There's the old movie star Esther Williams swimming. Esther is our lovely subject, and swims is our verb. She is the person doing this action. So, simple sentences. The two sentences we just looked at are simple sentences. A simple sentence is also called an independent clause. I don't ask you to memorize many things, but I would like you to try to remember that phrase because it's going to come up later. And it is independent. If you think of being dependent on your parents when you're a kid and then you become independent when you're older, right? An independent sentence stands on its own and is a complete thought. It has two parts: the subject, the person, place, thing, or idea doing the action or being the action, and the predicate, the verb and other words explaining or modifying, changing or kind of explaining the verb. So here are some examples. The exam was difficult. Exam is the noun doing or being the action. Was difficult is our predicate. The man from the shop. Man is our subject. And the predicate is knows my secret. So has both of those are complete sentences with a subject and a predicate. Some simple sentences have one subject, and the examples we just looked at did. The man knows, the exam was difficult. One subject, one exam and one man. Here are some other examples. The dog went for a walk. Aw. Andrea is late for work. Trevor hates chocolate. So here, dog is our subject, went is our verb, Andrea is our subject, is our verb, and Trevor is the subject, and hates is our verb. Other sentences have two or more subjects. These are called compound subjects. And compound means that you're mixing or adding two or more things together. It's basically what that word means. So a compound subject typically will be joined by the word and. Sometimes it'll be joined by a word like or. Here are some examples. The dog and the monkey went for a walk together. I forgot that was in here. It's so funny. So dog is a subject, monkey is a subject. They're both doing, if you notice, the same action. So this is all still part of the same sentence. Andrea and Monica are late for work. Both of them together doing that action. Trevor, Tyler, and Tim hate chocolate. So that's when a simple sentence has two or more subjects. Other simple sentences have one verb, kind of like the ones we already looked at. Lucy jumped up. Lucy is our subject. Jumped here in the bold is our verb. Carol answers the phone. Carol's our subject. Carl reads for fun. Carl's our subject. So one verb here. Jumped, answers, and reads. Other sentences have two or more verbs, and these are called compound verbs. So again, we're mixing or adding two or more things together. Lucy jumped up and ran away. Verb 1 and verb 2. Carol answers the phone and files papers. Verb 1 and verb 2. Carl reads, sings, and paints for fun. So there we had 3 verbs. I don't think his name's Carl, but I just love this of him painting. So angry. So sometimes people, I think, get confused that if a sentence has more than one subject working together or more than one verb that the person or place or thing is doing, that it's not a simple sentence, but you can see from these examples how that works. It's one person doing all of the actions. So let's review. Simple sentence consists of just one independent clause, like the prisoner escaped. Sometimes it can have a compound subject, the prisoner and his friend escaped, and sometimes it can have a compound verb. The prisoner and his friend escaped but were caught later. So here, 2 subjects, here, 2 verbs. But every sentence has to have at least one subject, a noun doing the action, and a verb, the action. Usually the verb is part of a predicate, which includes a few other words that explain or modify the verb. A simple sentence is also called an independent clause. It has one subject and one predicate and can stand alone on its own as a complete thought. Next, we're going to talk about other types of sentences, and then as I said before, we're going to talk about sentence variety, where we vary or mix up the structures of sentences that we use. And I hope to see you there. Thanks.